Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to finally cover Ultimate Wolverine issue number 1. And I absolutely love this issue. But I know this issue is going to piss some people off. Not me, because I absolutely love this issue, but I know there are going to be some particular Marvel fans that are going to be pissed off because there are certain deaths in here, and I was like, I didn't think about it at first until my little sister told me about it, and it's like, yeah, I know some people are going to be a little bit mad, but the storytelling, the artwork, and the hints to the original Ultimate Wolverine, oh so good. Before we start this issue, I have to acknowledge that I did not cover Ultimate Universe's 1 year in one shot. It sucked, and the reason why it sucked is on the front cover. So we're going to go and do the prologue to Ultimate Wolverine, and then we're going to do issue number 1. But that's not a problem. There will be timestamped in the comment section below. If you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. We covered the original and the new on the channel, so make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Let's begin. The prologue begins with an oration from the private dictation logs of Dr. Alonia Prostovich, Director of Science and Technology for the Eurasian Republic. The task was handed down to us from the Maker himself. The Eurasian Republic was to be centralized home to mutant kind, though its primary motive was control. And who was better to control the mutant problem than mutants themselves? What the Maker did not know, however, was that the Eurasian Republic chose to do with those mutants. It was not to provide them with sanctuary, nor was it to imprison them. Despite their genetic similarities, they were not viewed as brother and sister, but as tools. Their unique abilities made them, shall we say, useful. Although there was peace between territories as established under the Maker's watchful eye, our leaders grew fearful of incursions, insurrections, and reactionary responses. Thus created Directorate X. We worked in secret, a ghost operation, no paper trail, known to less than a dozen individuals. We were bureaucratic phantoms. To the world at large, I was Director of Science and Technology under the Eurasian Republic. To my superiors, I was an asset. To my subjects, I was God. And if you notice, there is a heart in a jar. Body parts. Body parts are gonna get mentioned a lot about this Wolverine, so keep that in mind. I'll get to that at the ending, or when it gets brought up, and at the ending of the video. Strength inevitably breeds resistance. Led by coalition of humans and mutants, the opposition rose. They fought Eurasian forces time and again, only to deliver us an unexpected victory. One that had evaded us, the Maker alike. We called it, as we simply did with the others, the Specimen. When the Specimen arrived in our compound, it was already regenerating from grievous wounds in battle. We went to work immediately. 4 surgeons died trying to administer sedative. It took Omega-level telepath to control it, and that barely. We encountered mutants akin to the Specimen before. Attempts were made for similar enhancements, but did not take. I was convinced this time it would work. This wasn't a question whether we could turn an average citizen into a warrior. No,
This was whether we could make a good soldier perfect. And the thing is about Directorate X, they have a bold telepath. So this could potentially be either Charles Xavier or Cassandra Nova. You never know. They might end up switching the two round in this universe. And we did. We turned a man into a weapon. Born and died, then born again. They called him Logan once, then the Specimen. No more. Now he is ours. He is our Winter Soldier. And that is the end of the prologue. The story begins at night with a plane carrying Wolverine with soldiers near the border of the Eurasian Republic and Latveria ER airspace. And one of the soldiers guarding Wolverine says, "Look at him. You think he can hear us? Why don't you ask?" "I'm not asking him nothing. Creeps me out. I heard he was a part of an experiment gone wrong in the North American Union. Grovsnikriski, sorry, Russian pronunciation's terrible, in infantry. He says he's not a man at all. He says he's pieced together from corpses of soldiers who died in combat. He says he can't die. They can't blow him up. They can stab him. They can shoot him. He always comes back, same as before." And the thing is, right, Ultimate Wolverine stands up, and one of the soldiers is literally pissing his pants, like, we didn't mean to. And then Wolverine basically, like, pulls a switch. And he's like, what? What's he gonna do? He doesn't have a chute. And we all know what Ultimate Wolverine's about to do here. Captain America style and all. And with Ultimate Wolverine being a badass, he jumps out of the plane without a parachute, leaving one of the soldiers awestruck, shouting, "Holy shit!" And as we see, Wolverine skydives to the location he needs to get to. In the next page, we go to the aftermath of what Wolverine has done to someone in the forest, and we see two soldiers seeing the aftermath as well. "You owe me beer, Sokolov. I owe you shit. They said there were no survivors from the airstrike. They did. Blast like that? Well, explain him. If it was up to me, we'd exterminate all of these oppression dogs, terrorist killers." And as we see, this bloody mangled up person is like badly injured and is trying to crawl through the snow. And as we see their mangled face, it is brutal. Like, Wolverine has violated this man. "Sokolov, tell me, what do you do with an injured dog?" And as we see this person who's badly injured, like, he knows what's about to happen. And the other man says, "You shoot it," as he puts a gun to the man's head. And as we see, Ultimate Wolverine is watching the whole ordeal. We return to the skydive moment, and we see two guards who are guarding this building see him coming from the sky. "You see that? A Republic missile?" "No. Debris, maybe, from a falling satellite from orbit. But it's coming right at us." And that's when they notice. "Take cover," the other man shouts, as Wolverine makes his epic landing. Due to the impact from Wolverine, it's caused the whole area to get misty from all the snow that's flown in the air from the impact. I can't see a thing, as we see Ultimate Wolverine using this misty cover. Did you hear that? But before that man could do anything, he's getting cut up to shreds by Wolverine, shouting, "Oh my god." And one of his brethren is like, "Dom, what's happening?" And when he finally figures it out, and then the man sees Wolverine covered in blood with the claws out. And when he sees him, he knows whatever his brethren got, he's about to get it too. So he's probably going to be getting cut up into salami slices. And then we find out the people Wolverine is after is Nightcrawler and Mystique and other people in this church. And she's out here rocking the AK and she knows what time it is. Soldiers, arm yourselves as we see Ultimate Wolverine cut his way through the door. Brothers and sisters, leave now, shouts Nightcrawler. In the next page, we actually get to see the relationship or the dealership with the Illuminati and Director X when it comes down to Wolverine. The Specimen has not taken kindly to his cell. This is the same Specimen who survived an airstrike on opposition compound outside of Rasputigrad, yes? And a bullet's point-blank range to his temple. Magic. He regenerated his whole body in record time and had strength enough to kill the soldier who shot him. Impressive, says Omega Red. Oh, come, Arcady. Jealous? No, Pitor. I think I like him. Subject originates from the North American Union, like some of the other opposition forces, though it hasn't spoken since we brought it to Moscow. So, what can we do with this? Asks Colossus. And Alonia from the Prologue says, we have attempted skeletal enhancement before, as you know. Yes, I recall your last failure, and we cannot permit another such failure, Dr. Prostovich. I don't think you need to worry. Not with this specimen, as we see Wolverine trying to break out of his glass prison, to no avail. It seems wild, says Magic. For now, yes, but what this specimen has that the other specimens lacked is the simple instinct. He's a survivor. Guys, if you know about the words survivor and survival, it's very tied to Ultimate Wolverine from the original Ultimate Universe. He had the survival factor, or instinct, if that's what you want to call it, compared to your healing factor. And an example, we try to administer a sedative 4 times. 4 times we lose the technician. Then it cannot be controlled. This specimen is useless, says Colossus. With all due respect, dear leader, but I think you forget it is not the only specimen we have here. You mean the telepath? For starters, yes. Once we have it under control, I do not think the opposition will be a problem much longer. And that is quite useful, as we see Wolverine's decided to calm down, but has a bloody X in his cage. Very nice symbolic reference there. As we continue the fight scene at the church, Ultimate Wolverine starts to get ready for a fight, and even clicks his neck a few times as well. I know that man, Raven. I know it. And before he could finish his sentence from Nightcrawler, Mystique shouts fire as a whole wall of guards with guns aim and fire at Wolverine. And we see Nightcrawler begins to pray. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And as we see, Wolverine goes to town on every single person in this church. Like, bro, Nightcrawler is praying for dear life. And it is peak. Like, Wolverine is straight up annihilating guys throughout this entire scene. And then we see Mystique try to go at him. As both Ultimate Wolverine and Mystique have a stare down, they both get ready to fight this out. She turns into Colossus and has a minigun in hand and says, "Opposition rats are swarming all over this place." But the thing is, Wolverine begins to sniff and then realizes this is not Colossus, the guy who had him captured. This is Mystique. And Mystique knows, like, the trick didn't work, and she's like, oh. And Wolverine just goes on the offensive against her. Mystique in her Colossus form manages to get some good hits off and tries to keep the distance from Wolverine and uses that minigun on him, dealing some decent damage towards him, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem to work. Wolverine jumps into the offensive, manages to cut the minigun's turret in pieces, and then goes in for the throat, cutting Mystique's throat in 3 slices. And this, in my opinion, is one of the darkest things I've ever seen Wolverine do. He straight up murders Ultimate Mystique in this universe. And unfortunately, people, this ain't the only death in this comic. And as Ultimate Mystique falls to her death, Wolverine is standing on a body of corpses, and he knows there is only one person left to deal with. "Mein Gott," says Nightcrawler. In the next page, we see a scene where Wolverine is being experimented on, and members of the Illuminati are here to witness it. Sedate, but not sedated, he is under our control. Yet it is in chains, says Magic. Precaution, its mind is empty, ours is for molding. Its allegiance will only be to the Eurasian Republic? Yes, Colossus. Its memories have been wiped completely. It won't even know what its name is. But that instinct, its survival instinct, will remain. You will not find another specimen like it. Close, maybe, but this specimen is truly unique. And this part makes me a bit iffy about who this Wolverine is, because a part of me thinking, is this the original Ultimate Wolverine reborn, or is this just a new Wolverine with, for some reason, so many hints towards the original? Its past self is dead. Logan it was once called, but no more. We have taken to calling it by a nickname. Seemed fitting. Lived, died, and born again as we choose. It will be cold-blooded, relentless, merciless, and we call it our Winter Soldier. In the next page, we go back to Nightcrawler and Wolverine, and here we actually get some cool information, because it seems Nightcrawler knows who Wolverine is. "If you are who I think you are, no, I know. I know it's you. I don't know what they've done to you, but this isn't you," as we see Wolverine just tearing up the place trying to get to him. "My friend, it's me, Kurt. I beg you, please. I do not wish to fight." And Wolverine's just not listening to him. Like, Kurt's just trying to get away from him without teleporting, and Wolverine's just destroying any obstruction in his way. Like, he's basically on Jason Voorhees mode right now. And Wolverine just lunges at him, trying to kill him. And this is when Nightcrawler figures it out. There's no way to talk his way out of this, and says, "I'm sorry." And this is where it gets really cool. Nightcrawler goes on the offensive against Wolverine and starts teleporting and kicking Wolverine's ass. And Nightcrawler decides to arm himself with a rifle, picking it up with his tail, and says, "Forgive me, but I do what I must," as he cocks his gun and Wolverine gets his claws out, and basically they have a really cool battle. Nightcrawler just teleports all over the place, shooting Wolverine from all different directions, and he's just taking up all of that damage. But the thing is, it's just not good enough to put Wolverine down. And with a brief moment of quiet, Wolverine sniffs the air and knows that Nightcrawler would teleport behind him, and does a 180 and stabs Nightcrawler in the chest with both claws in him, like all 6 in the chest. And Nightcrawler cries and says, I believe this is what it says, "It's good to see you again, Logan." And in a really sad moment, Nightcrawler says in his dying words, "If you're in there, my friend, I pray that you have the strength, and I'm sorry we weren't quick enough. We came back. We came back for you. We would always come back for you." And then Wolverine pulls his claws out, and Nightcrawler dies there on the spot, with Wolverine in the new Ultimate Universe single-handedly killed Nightcrawler and Mystique. Man, I didn't think the first issue would be this sad, but I can tell this is gonna piss a lot of people off. But don't worry, folks, we can all grieve together. And with Ultimate Wolverine completing his mission with relative ease, the information that Nightcrawler has given him has now had some sort of inner conflict, as he begins to observe all of the murdering he's done that night. In the next page, we actually see Wolverine getting brainwashed on what his targets are before he went out on his mission. This is your enemy. They are dirty, they are cowards, they are wrong, but they have one thing in common. We know how to fight. Difference is, we know how to win. Look at these two. Escaped 2 years ago from the East Berlin camp. They could have been a part of the solution, like you, a part of history, given themselves, their bodies, their abilities for the Republic. Instead, they are running away, but not you. You are a fighter. You, my friend, you aren't part of history. No, you are history. To the man who says this to Wolverine, all chained up and has those weird like eyelid openers like you would see in some sort of psychiatric ward. Wolverine's bold. Like it is just really fucked up. But I love it though, because it really does give off that original Ultimate Wolverine feel, and that's what I really like about this. And in the next page, we see that Wolverine has been picked up after his mission, and is sitting down, staring at his mask as it's battered and crying blood. He's actually pondering the things that Nightcrawler had told him before he had murdered him. And what Wolverine remembers most about the moment between him and Nightcrawler was his final prayer. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. His resource, my soul. He leadeth me in the path of the righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I will fear no evil." And that is where Ultimate Wolverine issue number 1 ends. So that was Ultimate Wolverine the Prologue from 1 year in, and issue number 1 as well. And I have got to say, this is probably by far one of the best first issues of a comic for the new Ultimate Universe. This absolutely slaps. It's not perfect, damn near perfect in my opinion, but it does lose 1 point, but which we will get to. I think the storytelling and the artwork, fantastic. Solid. What I really liked about this issue was how they really tried to make this a new Wolverine, but also hint that it could potentially be the original. but I'll get to that in a moment. But I like how it also honors the original Ultimate Wolverine. Small things like using the word survival instinct or the word survival in general instead of using like the healing factor. This is also from the original Ultimate Universe with Wolverine, and I appreciate that we are keeping things from the original in the new Ultimate Universe. Thank you. But what I am a bit like, I think Chris Condon is fucking with me. Like, I think he's messing with my head here. If we had looked at the Ultimate Universe 1 year in and we saw the Wolverine section, we saw a heart in a jar. Yeah, so there's body parts being used, and in the first issue, we saw in the beginning of the issue that this soldier says that apparently this Wolverine has been constructed with different body parts from fallen soldiers. So that makes me think two things. Maybe this Wolverine's survival factor wasn't as good before they got to him, Director X, but they straight up said that he managed to re-heal his body from nearly nothing. So that's a bit contradictory there. So that makes me think, why would this Wolverine need body parts for reconstruction if he's already got the survival factor and he can heal from pretty much anything? Why do I get the feeling, is he referring to the original Ultimate Wolverine here? Hear me out. If you guys don't know, in Ultimatum, where the original Ultimate Universe Wolverine had died, the last remaining parts of his body was basically his severed hand, or his broken off hand after Ultimate Magneto had ripped out the adamantium from his body and pretty much crushed the remains of his skeleton. But his hand did still remain, and it was, I believe, was buried eventually. It was found, I could be wrong, because after post-Ultimatum, I'll admit I did not read everything. Ultimate X-Men, post-Ultimatum X-Men for me, I didn't really like. So forgive me if I'm a bit rusty here. I believe his hand was retrieved and was finally buried. But that's the only reason why I would think he would need body reconstruction. Unless the maker knew where to find it and brought the remains to the new universe and got other body parts to regrow it and rebuild it. And if you look at the dialogue as well, he does say that this Wolverine, or this Logan, I should say, lived, died, and was reborn again. So that makes me think, is this the original Ultimate Wolverine? And plus they have the muzzle over his mouth, and he can't talk, so we can't even get any confirmation from the character himself. But at the same time, that can't be the case, because this Nightcrawler knew who this Wolverine was. So that must mean this Wolverine must have went through something really bad that would require him to go through body reconstruction, needing other body parts from other people, but we haven't seen it yet. That's my second theory. But it's like, based on how the new Ultimate Universe has been going, I don't think it's the first theory. I think probably this Wolverine went through something really bad that would require him to get body reconstruction and possibly gave him mutant powers, but I don't know. I think Chris Condon, the writer here, is deliberately messing with us here to not make us get too... Sorry. I think the writer is messing with us to try and get us off the trail on what is really true. You know, he's basically giving us little, like, false little teasers, not too serious, but little false teasers for us to, like, sift through, and then when we go throughout the run, we'll finally get a clearer answer. But I'm conflicted. Is this the original? Or did this Wolverine go through something really bad that we just haven't seen? Now, the second part. The deaths of Nightcrawler and Mystique. Oof, I'm sorry, but I gotta take a point off. This will probably be a 4 out of 5 or a 9 out of 10 for me. I do like Nightcrawler and I do love Mystique. Seeing them getting brutally murdered like that. Before we can get a proper Ultimate X-Men team, yeah, I've got to take a point off, big man. Yeah, Chris, I know fantastic work, but I have to take a point off. You know I got to take a point off, my dog. But to see how this Wolverine absolutely decimated everybody before he got to Mystique and Nightcrawler. This Wolverine is absolutely wild. He's wild when he's in containment. He's wild when he's on the field doing up his mission. You know what I mean? And what I really like about this Wolverine is this Wolverine has a fear factor. What I mean by that is the people who control him, Director X and the Illuminati, or the Eurasian Republic such as Colossus, Magic and Omega Red, they do have somewhat of a fear towards this Wolverine, because they all know if you don't have this Wolverine or Logan sedated, locked down, under containment down to the T, he could get out. And if he gets out, you're fucked. It's one of them ones they all know. If this guy breaks out, or anytime he breaks out, someone dies. And they don't want that. So a lot of these villains in this universe are very cautious on how they look after Wolverine, but we all know that that's going to be their downfall. They're all going to fuck up, and then Wolverine's probably going to break out and just start murdering everybody at Director X, and probably break out the other mutants that are locked down there as well. So we do know that there is a telepath there, which could possibly be Charles Xavier or Cassandra Nova for all we know. But there definitely is a telepath who has been calming Wolverine down, and that doesn't even work all the time. And it really does demonstrate this Wolverine is going to be more savage than the original Ultimate Wolverine. And loads of people complained about how, well, not you know, people didn't complain, that's a lie. People did like how savage Ultimate Wolverine was, but sometimes Ultimates 3, yeah. Ultimates 3. But yeah, for the most part, absolutely, not even for the most part, I would say this is damn near perfect. It's right up my alley. Gore, not gore, but serious tone, savage Wolverine, Ultimate Universe references to the original, and it also makes me want to see more. I highly recommend this comic to anybody who has read it or who wants to read it. It's fantastic, and I think this is probably going to be my favorite comic of the year, but we have to wait and see. It's only been one issue. You know, we have to get to about issue number 6 until I can finally have my opinion if it's going to be my favorite, because we all know they put the best foot first. The first comic of every run is always going to be the best issue of the run to get people hooked. You know what I mean? So we need to see in the next few issues if they can keep that momentum and keep this level of quality. But overall, storytelling, artwork, character design, fantastic, and highly recommend it. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. We covered the original and the new Ultimate Universe on the channel, so you know what to do. Drop that like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.